All right. Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for this webinar today. I'm Scott Fitzpatrick, Vice President for Advancement at Bluegrass Community Foundation, and I have some really good news from the beginning. You're not going to see my face a whole lot, so we're going to move to the slides, and we will get through this information, and I'll try to get through the information as quickly as possible. So let me start the presentation now. And so there we go. There we go. And as we get started, certainly I want y'all to have all of your questions answered today that we can address. So if you could drop questions into the Q&A feature, and I'll try to address them as we go along. And we will certainly as well have time at the end to take any questions. So with that, I'm going to, I think I'm going to stop my video. And we will just move into the presentation. So again, thank you all for being here. We are Bluegrass Community Foundation, and just very quickly, I want to address who we are. And so Bluegrass Community Foundation, we are a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We are one of around 800 community foundations in the United States, and we are the oldest community foundation in Kentucky. Something you will find consistent about community foundations is, by and large, though we all take on different areas of focus, we have two major areas that we focus in on. And so there's a role that we play here as a community leader and convener. The bottom line is we're in a position to help make good things happen in the communities that we serve. And so some examples of that, I'm sure a number of you know about the Good Giving Challenge, an online giving campaign that takes place every year beginning on Giving Tuesday. We have around 200 local nonprofit organizations that participate. We've done that for 13 years, and we've raised close to $23 million for nonprofit organizations through the Good Giving Challenge. We also have been involved in community-wide projects like the Legacy Trail, Town Branch Commons. Town Branch Park was incubated here at Bluegrass Community Foundation for a time. Splash Park, which is a water play area in the east end of Lexington. We were very involved in all of these and find ourselves involved in a number of other community initiatives as well. So there's this side of our work where we're a community leader and convener, but we also somewhat serve as a charitable bank. We're going to talk more about that charitable bank part, and that's really going to be the focus of what we talk about today. But just very quickly, in regard to the charitable bank, and I know we have a lot of professional advisors here today. One thing to just take away from this is I believe that if you have clients who are charitably inclined, they would benefit greatly from having a conversation with us. So just very quickly, we can help them organize their lifetime giving in very tax-efficient ways. We can assist them in discovering their philanthropic passions. We can really simplify estate giving. There are a lot of things I think that we do really well, but I think that making things easy for individuals and families to give charitably through their estate, I think that's a place where we really shine, can provide a lot of flexibility and make things very simple. And we can also help your clients convert real assets into charitable dollars. We receive gifts, obviously, of cash and of appreciated stock, but we have received gifts of real estate and partial interest in businesses and art collections and a number of other things. So we can help in a lot of ways for your clients to give to the things that they care about, discover the things that they care about, and also do it in ways that uses assets in a very tax efficient manner. So while we're talking about tax things, It's very important, our disclosure. This is not to be considered tax or legal advice. With any of these things, we encourage consultation with tax professionals. So just keep that in mind. I am not a CPA. I'm not an attorney, but I'm here to provide some information that hopefully will be of some benefit to you, your clients, and certainly in consultation with tax professionals about that. So now, to dive into what we're going to be talking about today, we're going to be talking about Endow Kentucky tax credits. We're going to be talking about qualified charitable distributions, and we're going to talk about how all of this can come together to support your local community. So let's start off with Endow Kentucky tax credits. Every year, the state of Kentucky makes available $1 million in tax credits. Those become available on July 1st. And essentially, the tax credit will equal 20% of the amount of the pre-approved gift amount that a person makes. And those gifts must be made to permanently endowed funds held at certified Kentucky community foundations. So that's the key element here, is that these tax credits are only available when they're made to permanent endowment funds held at certified Kentucky community foundations. So real quick, what's an endowed fund? So an endowed fund is designed to be permanent and perpetual. It's going to be around forever. And because it's designed to be here forever, there are some very stringent guidelines that we follow regarding how that money is going to be invested. It has to be invested for long-term growth. And we follow guidelines in terms of how much of that fund is available to be spent for charitable purposes every year. And so we have best practices and strong guidelines that we follow regarding that. But that's what an endowment fund is. Its design is to be here in support of things forever. So let's go back to the tax credit. How does that work? There's an application process, and applications may be received anytime after July 1st, not before July 1st, but anytime before July 1st. And there's a guarantee that anyone who applies before July 7th will receive some pro rata portion of the tax credit. Our recommendation is that the applications are submitted to us at Bluegrass Community Foundation before July 1st. We will send them in a batch to the Department of Revenue on July 1st and in that week following. That allows us to track things and can be in a position to follow up on behalf of you and your clients in that period of time. As I said, there's a guarantee that there will be a pro rata portion of the tax credit available for anyone that gets their application in by July 7th. The Scott Fitzpatrick guarantee is that if the application comes in after July 7th, there will be no tax credit, because this is a very popular tax credit program. It will be oversubscribed. So to talk about that just a bit, the maximum gift allowable through the program is $50,000. This is per the code. So the maximum gift is $50,000. The maximum tax credit then would be $10,000. However, it will likely be less, again, because this is a very popular tax credit program. It's going to be oversubscribed. Generally, what we have seen recently is that if a person applies for a gift of $50,000 to get a 20% tax credit on that, their gift amount will be limited to somewhere around $35,000 to $37,000, and they'll receive a 20% tax credit on that. So further information about how it works: the application is submitted, preliminary approval comes mid to late July, and then the donor has 30 days to complete their gift. Now, I think it's important to note here, this is not a binding requirement. So if a person applies, they are not required to complete the gift. but there are some guidelines under which they must go through and timelines to complete that gift. So the preliminary approval will come mid to late July. They'll have 30 days to complete their gift, and they can complete that gift using cash, using appreciated securities, which is always a great idea because it helps avoid capital gains tax. Or in some cases, and this is getting to the next portion of our presentation, they may use qualified charitable distributions from IRAs. So qualified charitable distributions, folks who have money, qualified money in or pre-tax money that's held in an IRA, they can start utilizing qualified charitable distributions at age 70 and a half. And at that point, they can begin making these qualified charitable distributions up to $105,000 annually per individual. The way qualified charitable distributions work, that money comes directly from the IRA to the charitable organization. And so when that happens, when that money is coming out of the IRA directly to the charity, one thing that happens is they don't owe income tax on that distribution. So if they're in a position where they have to take required minimum distributions, this can help them toward that. So they pay no income tax on that money when it comes out because it's going directly to a charity. They do not get a charitable deduction, however. They're avoiding the income tax, but they're not getting the charitable deduction. However, this is the important thing, qualified charitable distributions into most endowment funds at Bluegrass Community Foundation may qualify for Endow Kentucky tax credits. So this can be a great strategy for your clients to help them meet or exceed their required minimum distribution. So if they have, based on their age and the balance that is held in qualified retirement accounts, if they're required to take $50,000 out in a year, they could make that $50,000 through a qualified charitable distribution that meets their required minimum distribution. They don't have to worry about that. It can also, particularly if they go above and beyond what their required minimum distribution is, it can decrease the balance of their IRA accounts, which will effectively lower their required minimum distribution in future years. Obviously, they're avoiding income tax on the IRA withdrawals, and they will earn tax credits to decrease their liability, their tax liability in the state of Kentucky. So this Endow Kentucky tax credit is available for any individual or entity that has a tax liability in the state of Kentucky. So individuals, businesses, anything like that, if there's a tax liability, they can participate in this program. So there are lots of strategies around this. The tax credit program is a great, very tax efficient way of giving. So let's talk about where this money can be given. So eligible endowment funds at the Community Foundation, for starters, there are over 160 nonprofit organizations that have permanent endowment funds at Bluegrass Community Foundation. And I would say that they are the biggest benefactor, if you will, to these Endow Kentucky tax credit programs. Lots of folks want to support their favorite nonprofit organization and support their endowment fund through this program. So there are over 160 of those at Bluegrass Community Foundation. We also have a number of endowed scholarship funds, which we fully administer. And if you're interested in that, we can talk more about what's available there. And we also have community funds. And I want to get into community funds a little bit because community funds provide a very unique approach to charitable giving. So these community endowment funds allows someone to give in a way that supports the community where they lived, where they raised their family, where they built their business, all of those things, and give in a way that ensures its vibrancy forever. Community. So one of the things we use to some of the language we use to describe these community funds, they're going to help address the most urgent needs and transformative opportunities in these communities for generations to come. And we feel confident that we are able to address these needs even in communities that are outside of Fayette County, because we have local advisory boards. So all of our community funds have local advisory boards of folks that live and work in these communities. And their responsibility is to raise money, raise awareness, and they're also deciding how these resources are used. So we are relying on the information that is gathered from the people that live in these communities to decide how these resources are going to be used. So we have a number of community funds. I want to take just a moment to talk a little bit because I know a lot of you are in Lexington or have clients in Lexington, and also because the Fund for Greater Lexington, ironically enough, is our newest community fund. So the Fund for Greater Lexington, again, it's a permanent and perpetual endowment. And this fund is going to invest in transformative community projects that improve the quality of life for all of Lexington. And this group, our Fund for Greater Lexington board, has chosen 2 initial projects that they are funding. Hopefully, many of you have heard about Kelly's Landing, which will be a public park, which will provide the only public access to the Kentucky River. The Parks Department purchased this land a while back, and so Fund for Greater Lexington has put forth some dollars to hire a consulting firm to do a master plan for this, so that we can really find ways to make this a great, thriving park that benefits everyone in this community. Fund for Greater Lexington is also providing funding for a feasibility study to see around a performing and visual arts center to determine what the appetite is for Lexingtonians for a performing and visual arts center, what that might look like, the size, where it might be located, all of these things. We feel that Lexington does pretty well in terms of performing and visual arts, but we feel that there are even greater opportunities there. So we are engaged with a consulting firm to do a feasibility study on that. So those are a couple of things that are happening with Fund for Greater Lexington, and I think that they are indicative of the type of projects that they will be involved with moving forward. As I mentioned, we have a number of other community funds. So here's a list of the other community endowments at Bluegrass Community Foundation, the counties, and where we have local boards of advisors that are making decisions about how those dollars are going to be used. And at the bottom there, I've mentioned the R.L. Brown Foundation in Sharpsburg and the Hudson Ellis Fund in Boyle County. So these funds, these are also permanent endowment funds. We don't staff them in the same way that we do these other community endowments, and they don't always have a local board of advisors, but they are permanent and perpetual resources that are benefiting these communities. So I wanted you to be aware of that in the event you have clients or folks that are interested in supporting those 2 areas. So looking at these additional community endowments, just to give you some examples of the things that they fund. So in Rowan County, there was funding made available from the Rowan County Community Fund to provide Chromebooks for students in that community. Franklin County decided to give some money to the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, which is a great program that promotes literacy for young children. In Harrison County, in Cynthiana, if any of you are fans of the television series The Walking Dead, there is a mural there in Cynthiana for The Walking Dead Because the creators of Walking Dead are actually from Harrison County, so it's kind of to pay homage to that local citizen who grew up there. But it is really helped tourism there in Cynthiana. And one of the biggest things that have come from any of our community funds is in Clark County. They have provided dental services for all third graders. There was a great need to improve oral health in Clark County. And so through the Clark County Community Foundation, money was made available to provide dental services for every third grader in Clark County. So that's an example of some of the things that happen through these community endowment funds. So we do have some resources to help you through this. I know that we've gone through this information pretty quickly, but I want to honor your time today and also kind of give you a broad overview of what's available through the Endow Kentucky Tax Credit Program and how that works, because I think it can be of great benefit to your clients, for the professional advisors out there to benefit your clients, show them some alternatives to giving in ways that can provide them some additional tax credit, and particularly for folks that are in a position to take money from IRAs and use those qualified charitable distributions. So additional resources, and what we will do, we will email out to everyone that's on this webinar today Endow Kentucky Tax Credit FAQs and information. So by and large, most of the questions you may have about Endow Kentucky will be on that information that we provide. But if there's anything more, certainly you can reach out anytime. We will provide an Endow Kentucky application. And we also have a video on our website, and we will link that website that kind of goes through the process. Here's how you complete the application. We'll provide a list of all endowment funds at Bluegrass Community Foundation. As I mentioned, over 160 different nonprofit organizations have endowment funds. And then certainly you can link through our website and learn about all the community funds at Bluegrass Community Foundation. And so you can learn more about the different projects that they've been involved with. You can see who's on their board of directors, all of those types of things. So all of this stuff will be emailed out to you later today. So with that, I have reached the conclusion of the material that I have prepared for you all today. I want to thank you for being here. And at this point, I will open it back up to see if anyone has any questions. I don't see anything in the Q&A, but if anyone has any questions, feel free to drop that in now. We'll give about a minute for that. And certainly, as you have questions, you may reach out to the Community Foundation at any time. You can call our office. You can send me an email. My information's on our website. If you call, you can ask for me, Scott Fitzpatrick, or just ask for any member of our advancement team, and we can talk through any scenario. As I mentioned, this webinar was really about Endow Kentucky, and how that can be a great way to give in a very tax efficient manner. So we want to make sure you know about that. But also just know that, again, if you have clients that are inclined toward charitable giving or are interested in starting their own charitable giving program, I do think that they would benefit greatly from having a conversation with us. We'd love to partner with you and your clients to help them give in ways that are efficient and give in ways that can be most impactful to the community. Okay. Well, with that, I will wrap things up today. I appreciate all of you that have joined us. And again, reach out to Bluegrass Community Foundation anytime when we may be of service. Thanks.